I'm Laura Palabra and I run an organisation called Stress Matters. We help different businesses, large and small, in the capital and beyond, to understand how to improve workplace wellbeing in their team. In this video, we're going to be looking at a campaign called MHFA Every Event. The idea of MHFA Every Event is encouraging organisers and venues to have enough team trained in mental health first aid that they can balance out the needs of physical first aid on site at an event. And whether or not we're doing an event for 30 people or for 300 people, we need to ensure the safety of that event. In this video today, it's not just going to be me. We are going to hear from one of our venues that is already MHFA Every Event approved, 10 to 11 Carlton House. And we're also going to hear from Unique Venues of London.
Hi there, I'm Catherine Owen. I am Head of Venue Sales and Marketing at 10 to 11 Carlton House Terrace, which is the home of the British Academy. We are a listed building in the centre of London, and we host all sorts of events from tiny meetings to large-scale conferences, fashion shows, not to mention weddings and Christmas parties and celebrations like that. To improve employee well-being, but also to contribute to overall sort of organizational and company health. I believe that it's an employer's or a leader or a manager's responsibility to provide staff with the sort of resources and flexibility and compassion at any time, but particularly in this unbelievable time, and encourage their employees to take care of their mental health.
Hello, I'm Lisa Hatswell. I'm Managing Director of Unique Venues of London. Unique Venues of London is a marketing consortium of over 80 unique venues and spaces within the capital. Mental health is very important to talk about, especially during the current challenging times we're all finding ourselves in. Talking about mental health helps break down any stigmas that might be around it at all, especially in the workplace, and helps improve our overall working relationships and communications.
For me, it's important because that will help ease stress and anxiety and will ultimately improve productivity. So providing mental health first aid training or talking about the importance of mental health with as many staff as possible just made sense for us. It aligns with strategic objectives as well as organizational and team values. In the first weeks of lockdown, organization right off the mark was, making sure everyone could home work. They rolled out technology. We all were given allowance to sort of kit out a workstation. There was workstation risk assessments, all that, make sure you have the right chair. Which was amazing, and it did mean that the whole organization got up and running really swiftly, but it became really evident that there was going to be as a significant and lasting impact on mental health and wellness due to sort of collective grief and fear, isolation, just to name a few concerns, obviously that has been talked about a lot over the past few months. Therefore, for me, it was not only the right thing to do, but also quite a business critical thing to invest in my staff's mental well-being.
There are a lot of people that are really struggling with anxiety and depression. And it's estimated that there's going to be an increase of depression in adults by double the amount normal in COVID times. So we've got a really big issue that we need to deal with. And so whilst we're all focusing on the physical safety of the teams, I urge you to really consider about the mental safety of your teams.
For us, it was a sort of natural extension to move on and join MHFA at every event. The importance of investing in resources for staff, the impact of the COVID situation on everyone's mental well-being. We just felt that as a team, we were supporting one another. We were investing in ourselves and in developing those skills. But to see the impact on clients and suppliers and the supply chain and the whole sort of community and event industry, we wanted to be able to sort of extend that support. One of the activities we did as a team throughout lockdown was to really carve out some overall aims and objectives for the team, business aims and sort of goals but then also a set of values by which to deliver those goals. Extending mental health support and first aid resources to clients and our supplier network was just the next logical thing to do. The mental and physical health of your staff is like paramount to the success of your whole organization.
We're very used to expecting and seeing physical first aiders at every event we might do, every venue we might attend. We would expect to be able to go into a shop or to a gig and know that if we hurt ourselves in any way, there would be a first aider available. The idea of MHFA every event is to say it's not always, unfortunately, our physical bodies that are impacted. Actually, sometimes our mental safety and our mental health can take a bit of a battering.
Mental health first aiders the perception of them is changing. I think this year has definitely shown everyone that there needs to be more of an understanding of this resource. We're very used to having a first aider, a pure first aider on site for events, but now I think people are more aware of mental health and safety and well-being at an event, and there's definitely more of a need to have that resource.
So by us being able to support individuals if they are at an event and they're experiencing mental health distress, in educating our team members to be able to know what to do and what to say to support people in a situation will make everyone feel a little bit more safer at an event.
On top of it being a sort of great value add PR story and that sort of thing, like there are business benefits to having it. It has sort of, it's given confidence to the team and ultimately aided in their own mental well-being. But we do truly believe as a team, to be a successful and safe and inclusive venue, you have to cater for all of your audience and protect all of your audience. And so the mental health of our staff is as important as our attendees, as our cleaners, as our catering staff, as are the production staff. And so it just became sort of, it was a sort of a no question that it would be the next logical step for the team.
We like to think we are good listeners, particularly in this industry where we're listening to our clients' demands and trying to create a fantastic event for them and our delegates. We think we're good listeners, but I challenge you to take the mental health first aid course, because I discovered after leaving event organisation that actually I probably wasn't quite as good listener as I hoped I would have been. We have judgments, we have these sneaky little biases that sneak into our head. We need to work out how to control those, how to remove some of those judgments, how to quieten some of those biases when we're listening to people, particularly when we're talking to them about mental health and their well-being. By going through mental health first aider training, you learn how to become non-judgmental, you learn to improve your listening skills. We also teach you the basics of some of the signs and symptoms of different mental health illnesses. And most importantly, we teach you the action plan to how to support people if you are worried about them, or if they come to you because they are worried about themselves or another person with their mental health and well-being.
My skills as a mental health first aider came into use really a lot more this year. I feel it's been very challenging for everyone, and just a little bit of understanding and taking a little bit of time out of your day can really help other people, especially who may be struggling in these times. Just picking up the phone or sending an email, just checking how people are, can make a great deal of difference to them, but it's very little effort from someone to do.
The business benefits, their productivity, as well as it being a value add for our commercial venue hire product.
In this challenging time when we're looking at virtual events, hybrid events, and slowly starting to creep back into live events, it doesn't mean that mental safety is any less important when we're online versus when we're offline. The skills of understanding mental health first aid and putting mental safety as part of your risk assessment are there whatever type of event it is. We urge you to put mental safety in your risk assessments. It doesn't cost anything to join MHFA every event. If you've got enough mental health first aiders in your team, get in contact with us. We can get you accredited, we'll list you on the website, and we can support you as a venue or an organiser that supports the mental safety of your individual team members, but also of your delegates. If you don't have enough mental health first aiders trained to be MHFA every event, we can support you, and through our relationship with London and Partners, we are giving discounts to all members to ensure that you can become an MHFA every event as low a cost as possible.
When I thought about, for myself personally, having done the course, but also for the team, being really able to see their skills. And so it's like, I feel like I'm seeing it in them on a weekly, if not daily basis, you know, particularly last week when we were thrown into turmoil with new government announcements, they're, you know, that they were given the opportunity in the course to hone like empathetic listening skills, and being really aware and cognizant of signs of mental strain and anxiety, particularly burnout and that sort of thing. You know, I can see it in how they interact with one another. I can see their sort of compassion and their listening and how they are reacting to client conversations, and, you know, being really empathetic of you know, of a client's stress or strain, and, you know, whatever their workload might look like. Often with like well-being and EDI and you know, these really important initiatives, so often they can be from the bottom up, and then they reach a certain point, and then they, you know, then there's no buy-in, so it doesn't get rolled out across staff. So for me, it needs to be from the top, sort of leading by example, to make the greatest impact.
Investigate the amazing resources available out there. There's so many free and fantastic webinars for you to get information and to learn from.
But your staff is a sort of living and breathing organism and needs to be tended to. So, you know, making sure that it's regularly on SMT agendas and that it is embedded in a people strategy and rolled out to heads and line managers, you know, as standing points on one-to-one, so that at any level, it's always there. There's always a resource for someone.
Send them an anonymous survey to complete, because this way you'll get an honest and open impression of what they're thinking. See what they're feeling and what they need, and this will really help you move forward in what you need as a company.
Not just paying lip service. Don't just provide training and walk away or post a well-being statement.
I definitely recommend to become a first aid helper, mental first aid helper. Go on a first aid course, learn as much as you can, and share that information with your team. And that in turn will help share you that information with your guests.
Please don't see this as a tick box exercise. There are so many things that are important when it comes to mental safety of your team. Having mental health first aiders is one part of a larger strategic programme. It's a really good starting point, but it's one part of the programme. So if you're sitting there and you have lots of mental health first aiders trained, brilliant. I hope they're working well for you. You don't have to have your mental health first aiders trained by us. So if you have a good number of mental health first aiders in your organisation and you'd like to be MHFA every event approved, then get in contact with us and we will happily accredit you in MHFA every event. We have checklists available in terms of other things you might want to consider when thinking about the mental safety of events, so please do go to the website and check those out. But mental health first aider training is an extremely vital tool.
One person cannot be responsible for the well-being of an organisation.
This isn't just the job of your HR team. This isn't just the job of your senior leadership team. This is for each and every one of you, each and every single person in the organisation, to think about how they are doing, how the person they work closely with is, and how the event industry themselves are considering mental safety. The thing is with mental safety and mental health is we can't predict things, but we do know there are risk factors. And some of the really big risk factors are a sense of isolation and loneliness, redundancy, lack of financial stability, impact on health. All of these things are proven risk factors and things that make us a little bit more likely to have mental health illnesses. We're in a time at the moment where we're all going to be struggling with some of these risk factors. So to ensure everybody's safety, we need to consider mental safety at every single point in time. We're accredited by Mental Health First Aid England to run their adult courses. And the reason to run a mental health first aid course and to consider training in mental health first aid yourself or for your team is to give you a better understanding of what the signs and symptoms are of mental ill health, to understand how actually there are different levels of mental health and well-being, and how actually not everybody with a diagnosis may be unwell. And actually there may be many of us who don't have a diagnosis who actually don't feel well at the time.
People are more thoughtful these days in terms of things.
You know, I can see in the language that they use, just, you know, how cognizant they are of their own well-being, you know, sort of setting boundaries and that sort of thing, but then also just with a really deep understanding of people's motivations and feelings right now.
If you're considering mental health first aid and you're not sure it's right for you or for your organisation, pick up the phone, drop us a note. We're happy to talk you through what's required in terms of rolling this out internally, but also training the relevant number of team members for your organisation. Thank you, everybody. My name is Laura from Stress Matters, and if we can be of any help, please do reach out.